Perfect. Okay, so good morning to everybody. I am Ellie. I am part of the coordination team of ProBleu project, and I am researcher in the Institute of Marine Sciences of Barcelona, Spain. And thank you for coming today to the info session about our call. We will start with an introduction to our project. Then we will explain you how it's the rules of the call. We will continue with some examples of projects that you can propose to this call. And at the end, we will have time for some questions and doubts related to the call. Okay. ProBleu, the name of the project is Promoting Ocean and Water Literacy in School Communities. It's a European project that started on June of this year, and it lasts 3 years. The aim is to expand and support the network of European Blue schools. I suppose that most of you know this network, but if you don't know it, it's an initiative of EU4Ocean, the European Ocean Coalition, that connects different organizations and projects that contribute to the ocean literacy and to the sustainable management of the ocean. ProBleu, if somebody has the microphone open, please close it. ProBleu will attract a wide diversity of new members to the network. We want to improve ocean and water literacy across school communities. And we want to contribute to the objectives of the mission of the Restore Our Ocean and Waters by 2030. In particular, in two different things, to protect marine and freshwater ecosystems and biodiversity, and to prevent and eliminate pollution. Okay. So we have 4 objectives in this project. One is to mobilize and engage students and the school communities in relation to this mission. We want to improve the understanding of and enhance the sense of stewardship towards the value of oceans and waters among children, youth, teachers, and the school community, not only with the schools. We want to grow the network, bringing ocean and water literacy into the classrooms across all Europe and also to some associated countries. And we want to mobilize and engage the wider community with the network. Our aim as a project is to facilitate the school activities related to ocean and water literacy. So we will have some different resources to help schools. The first one is the funding calls. We have 4 funding calls to motivate, to promote school activities and develop new school activities. Especially we are very interested in new schools that are not part of the network yet. We will adapt and use different existing tools developed through different European projects or also other kind of projects and activities that are created. We are creating a repository that will be available for everybody in our website in the following weeks. And we will create different tools to facilitate the growth of the network during and after the project. For these objectives, we are 6 partners working on it. My research institution, the Institute of Ciencias del Mar of Barcelona, Innovamais, Portuguese company, Kaunas University of Technology in Lithuania, and 3 English partners, Earthwatch Europe is an important NGO based on the UK, the Plymouth Marine Laboratory, a research center also in the UK, and the Ocean Conservation Trust. It's also an NGO that manages the Plymouth Aquarium. So we are all coordinated to work on this project. And now I give the floor to my colleague, Anna from Innova Mais.
Yes. Thank you, Ellie. Good morning, everybody. I'm Anna. I just wanted to say that also besides Ellie from our coordinator organization, on behalf of the consortium, there is me and my colleague Pedro, also from Innova, and also Gennady and also Stefan from partner organizations of the project. I mean, they will jump in the conversation as well, and if you have questions in the end, of course they will also participate. So I will focus now on briefly presenting this call for the funding of projects under ProBleu. I will go through it. I will try to be brief and talk slow, but almost neither of us is native English, so I hope you can understand me, or if not, then you can write in the chat, or in the end we can discuss a little bit. Our project ProBleu is launching 4 calls. So today we are presenting the first call, but the first information that we want to give you is that this is the first opportunity. So this call that we have launched and to which the schools can apply until the 19th of January, this is one of 4 calls. The next one, for example, will be launched in March 2024. So even if you think that you don't have time right now, for example, to present an application until January, or if you present and by some reason the application for funding is not approved, there will be another 3 opportunities for this application for funding until 2025. So the project provides this financial support to projects that are promoted by schools. So this is one of the key criteria. If you see in this slide who can participate, this is primary and secondary level schools. There are, differences throughout Europe and outside Europe about the how we call schools and the levels. But basically this goes from the beginning, so the primary basic school up to a lower and upper secondary school. For example, in Portugal, it's until the 12th grade, so more or less until the age of 17, 18 years old for students. And this includes vocational schools, so not only the ones that we usually sometimes we call regular schools, but also vocational schools. So our main aim that is very connected to the project as Ellie was presenting is that schools think and plan and design projects that, as you see in the first point, engage students and all the school community, and if possible also the community outside the school, to promote ocean and water literacy and sustainability. So this is the main idea, to organize projects that involve different types of stakeholders inside and outside the school, and that contribute to what we call blue literacy. Another 2 important aspects in these projects, one is that they should contribute to this mission, the European mission, restore our ocean and waters by 2030, and this is put clearly in the list of topics that can be addressed by the project. So if you apply, your project needs to meet at least one of these topics that contribute to this mission. And one third very important aspect also that Ellie mentioned is that our funding of projects ProBleu is very much associated to the strengthening of the network of European Blue schools. Sometimes now I will call these NEBs, as a diminutive of the network. But this is one of the key objectives of this call, which means that for one school to apply to the funding of ProBleu, or this school should be already a member of the network of European Blue Schools, or should apply to this network during the application period, or as a minimum, the application of ProBleu needs to include activities that will lead to the membership of the network of European Blue Schools. So this is one very important aspect to take into consideration. So this is the general outline of the type of projects that we are looking for. Uh, can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. How does this work? So the project will provide financial support to projects. We have three categories of funding, which means that, of course, the projects can be smaller or be more ambitious, let's say. So when you think of the project or the project from your schools, then the school needs to apply to one of these three categories, or that the project will involve costs up to 2,500 euros, or 5,000, or 10,000 euros. One important aspect is that these these categories of funding are not related to the duration. So the projects should have between 3 months, so they cannot be shorter than 3 months. And in this call, the maximum is 11 months. The projects will start in April 2024. Okay, so if you choose the maximum duration, they will last until February 2025, but they don't have to last for 11 months. But what I was trying to explain is that, for example, you can have a large scale project in terms of funding. You can apply for a 10,000 euro funding, but this doesn't mean that the project needs to have 11 months. Okay, so there is not this association that, for example, small scale is for projects of 3 months, and medium is they have to be longer. This relationship does not exist. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. So when we talk about funding and financial support, what are we talking about concretely? When you think about the expenses of your project, you can count, for example, with travel, accommodation, and subsistence. For example, if you want to invite an expert to go to your school to do a session about ocean literacy, or if you want to take the students to do a visit, these expenses related to the transport of the students or the expert that are related to the project, or if there is a need to stay in a hotel or provide meals, this is one type of expense that can be included in the project. Purchase and renting of equipment. For example, let's imagine a photographic machine, or perhaps more specialized equipment to help measuring the water pollution. So this type of equipment that is used for the activities of the project is also a possible expense. Consumables like I don't know, paper or any other materials that are needed for the activities of the project. Other goods, work or services. So this is, for example, services. Again, if you invite an expert, and if you need to pay to for example, to organize a lesson, or to organize some kind of specialized event. But this can also be, for example, the production of materials, the production of design materials. So this category is rather wide. Uh, Subcontracting. Subcontracting is when we contract a service, usually of a person or a company, to execute some kind of task for our project. Here we include one important aspect, that is translations. So as you see, this session, for example, is in English, but in the schools, of course, we understand that, for example, if you develop a lesson or if you develop a manual, it can be in your national language, but it is very important for the project and for the objectives of the project, that we also that we have materials in the local languages. But for example, the final report of our projects, it should be in English. So it is possible that you use part of the funding of your project to have the translation, to have, for example, didactic materials translated, for example, from English to your local language, or from any other language, if you want to, let's say, transfer some materials to your local language, or if you suggest in your project to develop materials in your language and then translate it to others, because this will also allow us to spread what the schools are doing to other schools and other countries. So these expenses with the translation services are also allowed, let's say, for your budget. As you can see there, what is not what does not count for financial support is human resources, uh, namely of the teachers. This means that, for example, the teachers or any other school staff, they cannot allocate part of their salary to the project, so that part of the salary is funded through the project. So human resources cost of staff of the organization, of staff of the school, is not allowed, or it doesn't count as an eligible expense. So there in the slide you can see possible activities. These are just examples of activities that you can include in your projects, and of course these activities may have expenses, as I was saying, of travel, of need to purchase equipment, need to purchase other items, for example, organization of events. All these types of activities are very welcome in our projects. The competitions, the twinning with other schools is also very welcome. So this is also very much about collaboration and interaction in the school and with other schools. So these types of activities are eligible, and then can be transformed into costs for the budget of the project. So basically, you think about your project, the number and the type of activities that you need to organize. You try to do an estimation of the cost that you will have, and then with this you will arrive to one of these three categories, what we call the lump sums, for the small, medium, or large scale projects. Next slide, please. So how does this work? We try to do the application process as simple as possible. We hope we are successful with this. So now we are in the first stage that you can see there. The first step is to read everything that is relevant for this call, and also take a look at the forms that the schools need to use to submit the project application. So this document, call for proposals, is very, very, very important. Later on, I will perhaps show it. It's important that it is very clear for all participants what is this document, the call for proposals. The original call for proposals is in English, and this is the most important reference document for this call. It is in English. It has 13 pages, and this is really the, let's say, the golden reference document with all the rules, with the list of the topics, the list of eligible countries, the documents that are needed. So this is the key document, call for proposals, regardless of other information that we will make available of the FAQ, the fact sheet, etc. But the call for proposals is definitely the central document that should guide you throughout the project. Then we have the template for the project description form. We will show it later on, but basically this is a PDF template where you will describe your project idea, and the template for the declaration of honor. It is a short form. The declaration of honor should be signed by the representative of the school with this, with this more administrative and formal criteria that the school is not in a illegal situation, that is of a eligible country, etc. So this is a form to be briefly completed and signed. So first, take a look of what we have. The call, again, very important. Take a look at the project description form to see, okay, what are they asking in terms of project planning activities? What are we talking about? In the call for proposals, you will see not only the topics and the type of activities, but also the evaluation criteria. So we have the projects are evaluated according to three main themes or three main aspects. For example, the impact of the project. So if you look at the evaluation criteria, then you can shape your project so that your project meets the evaluation criteria and scores better to be eligible for funding. So once you take a look at this, of course, the second step is to start working on the project idea. As we said in the beginning, formally who applies is the school, but the project can be initiated by a teacher, by students, by other staff. So this is very much up to you. Um, it, Perhaps then one of the other partners can talk about this, but in the network, in the website of the NEBS, of the Network of European Blue Schools, for example, there is a manual, a support manual for schools to work on projects that gives some tips about how to design a blue literacy project. So this is a possible support, but we're also sure that many of you have lots of project ideas. So this is the second step, considering the conditions of the call, the topics that should be addressed, the type of activities, then you should design a project that meets these features. Then the next step is to really prepare the application. Again, in the call for proposal, you have more details about this, but what does it mean to prepare the application? Is one, to go to the online application form. So in the ProBleu website, you will see immediately a link to the ProBleu call. And there is one online form that we will show next with just some very basic information about the school, the contact person, that is filled in directly on the website. But besides this application form, you need to attach two documents. Is the project description form. So it is this PDF where you describe your project, the activities that you intend to organize, the who you will engage, how will it work, and the declaration of honor. So this is what it means to prepare the application, is to complete the form online with the main information about the school and summary of the project idea, and then to put in annex the project description form with the project idea and the declaration of honor, and then submit until the 19th of January, and it will be done. Next slide, please. So thank you. This is just an image of the two forms that I was talking about. Later on, if you have doubts, we can show the call for proposals or these forms. But on the left, you see the online application form. Okay, so again, if you go to the ProBleu website, it's this address that it is here, application form. So from you, what you can see here is the name of the person that will represent the school for this application, the surname, the role, some basic information about the school, the name of the school, etc. And then below this, you will have these buttons to upload the other forms. What you see in the right is one of the initial pages of the project description form. So this is something that you should also download. It is part of the first step where you download the relevant forms. This is a PDF form. Okay, so you have to open the PDF, complete the information that is required here in each field. Most of the fields have a limit of characters, for example, maximum 2,000 characters. Um, and in the end, you save as PDF, and it is this document that you need then to upload in the online application form. Just two or three brief warnings, let's say, about this form. This is a PDF form, so you have no possibilities to format. Okay, so it will not look very fancy. We just want you to put there the information with your project idea. And what you see there in terms of limit of characters is a maximum reference. Okay, but it's not a goal in itself. Imagine, for example, that you are doing, or you want to apply for a small scale project up to 2,500 euros, and you see in the form that some fields have a maximum of 3,000 characters, 4,000 characters. You don't need to make up information to fill in that field. So this is not what we value. And again, especially if you have small and medium scale projects, don't be concerned about uh, putting so much information. So the only thing we have is the maximum limit of characters. You cannot write, the form doesn't allow you to write more than the characters that are established there. And again, what we need is information. Another aspect that we want to highlight that is also, I think, in the call for proposals, or at least in the FAQ, is the item of the language. We need to receive your application in English, okay? But we know this is not the ideal situation. So we have some mechanisms to facilitate this a little bit. So you will see when you enter in the online application form that you can select one among 100 languages, I think. So you can see the fields of the application form in another language. And for example, when you design your project, you can write in your national language and then use those automatic translators. We have put two links in the frequently asked questions with suggestions of these systems for automatic translation. You can use them, but it's very important that we need to receive the application in English. But be assured that the English proficiency is not a criterion to evaluate and to select the proposal. So we just need to understand what is there in the application. But we are aware that for most of the participants, English is not the native language. So this is not at all what we will value. It's just that we need to understand and have this common language, so we need to receive the file in English. Next slide, please. Okay, so these three warnings a little bit related to this. It is crucial to read the call for proposals. I think I said this some 10 times now, but this is really the key document. It's this PDF with the 13 pages, just for you to have the reference of what is the document. The English version takes precedence. So even if some ProBleu partners can give you the one version of the call for proposals translated in your local language, if there is, imagine if there is some kind of interpretation problem, the valid version of the call is the English version, because sometimes in the translations, one word doesn't mean exactly the same in one language or the other. So ultimately, our the reference is the call for proposals. And what you see there in the second bullet, it's a bit awkward in terms of message, but always have as reference that what is valid is what is in the call for proposals, because for example, today we may say some information that is not 100% correct because of the way we express ourselves, or perhaps we forget something. Um, so what we mean is that you cannot say something that, like, oh, in the info session they said that the projects can last until 20 months, because what counts is what is in the call for proposals. Of course, today we seek to be as correct as possible, but in case there is some misunderstanding, or if you want to confirm really some type of information for the application, the reference is always the call for proposals document and in the English version. But of course, we try to clarify and be as correct as possible. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm almost finishing my part. So what should the schools project be about? You have here these 17 topics. So when you apply and when you design your projects, your project should have at least, or should address at least one and maximum three of these topics. These topics are aligned with that mission that I spoke initially when we said that the Blue School projects or the ProBleu projects need to contribute to the EU mission. It is, let's say, translated into these 17 topics. Of course, that or probably your projects will address more than three, because many of these topics are related. If you are, for example, if you are doing some action to protect the water, probably this will be associated with the removal of plastic. So we know that these themes are linked. But in the application, you will have to say and justify that your project is related to at least one and maximum three of these topics that are more relevant, that your project addresses more directly. So you see that there are several topics there. Just one final information before I pass the word to my colleagues is that these projects and the ProBleu projects are not only ocean related projects. So the schools don't have to be connected to the ocean. This also involves fresh water and water in general. So don't think that the schools that are not close to the ocean, or that don't have a connection to the ocean, are not able to participate, because we have these two components of ocean and fresh water. So we welcome projects in these two big areas. So now we will have time for questions and answers, but for now I will pass the word to Stefan from Earthwatch, that is going to give some examples of projects. If you want to have some concrete ideas of what could be the projects that you could apply for this call, we will show you some examples of projects.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Stephen Parkinson. A lot of people know me by Parky, which is how I'm labeled here on the call. And I'm a researcher at Earthwatch, which is this NGO based in Oxford in the UK. Yeah, so I thought it'd be helpful to give some example Blue School projects, just to help explain the sorts of projects that we're looking for, give you some inspiration, and to kind of bring to life the process that Anna very carefully and skillfully explained. So yeah, there are those 17 topics that were on the previous slides that are kind of based on this EU mission for water and oceans. And we don't expect you to know the EU mission in detail, but as Anna mentioned, we're trying to align the aims of school projects to this wider mission. And so to kind of help encourage that, we've just kind of constructed those 17 topics based on the objectives of the mission. But this is the first ProBleu call, as we've said, so we don't actually have any examples of our own Blue School projects to share. But fortunately, there are lots of projects that exist already, and particularly those that are already members of the network of European Blue Schools. So this QR code and the link on the slide at the moment takes you to the kind of current catalogue of all the Blue School projects within the network at the moment. And it's a really good resource if you're kind of interested in looking at what other schools have done and kind of looking for some inspiration. And I'm going to go through one or two examples from that catalogue now. But just as a disclaimer, these examples, they weren't chosen because they're necessarily any better than any other projects. I actually think they're very nice examples, but I just kind of opened up the catalogue and I opened the first project in the catalogue, and then I scrolled to the very end and I opened the last project in the catalogue. So it's a kind of completely random selection, but it just turns out they're very nice examples. And when we give these examples as well, don't worry if what you're planning doesn't look exactly like this. You could be planning something very different, and would still be very interested in it. And if you have any doubts or want to discuss whether your project would be appropriate or the sort of thing we're looking for, you can also kind of get in touch with us and would be happy to kind of talk about your project idea with you. So yeah, here's a first example, which is called the sort of Carbon Silver Blue School. It's based in Romania, and it's a really nice project within a secondary school, which is quite science focused. They realized that there was an increasing problem with algae on their local kind of coastline, and they were interested to kind of try and explore what might be causing that and whether it might be a symptom of eutrophication, of kind of increased nutrient pollution in the water. So they started these regular measurement campaigns. Every week they'd go down and take samples from 5 sites along their local shore, and take measurements both there on the beach and then also bring them back to the school, to the laboratory in the school, and kind of monitor various parameters there. And they're kind of trying to collect evidence about whether this is eutrophication that's causing this algae, or what might be causing the algae, to help kind of explain what's causing this issue in their local area. And I think that's a really good inspiration for other Blue School projects as well, to kind of think about what are the issues around water, be it fresh water or oceans, that are kind of that are really important in your local area at the moment, that are important in the area of your school, and trying to build a project around that can be a really nice aspect. Another really important element is the kind of partnering with local organizations, and this school was really successful at sort of reaching out to other local organizations. They worked with a university, several actual sort of national marine research institutes, and also their local city hall, to kind of talk about the sort of governance of their sort of local waters. And so, yeah, as an overall project, I think it's a really nice example of quite a scientific focused project, but one that was really focused on a local issue and kind of trying to understand and then hopefully do something to improve that situation. If you go to the next slide, please. There's now a very contrasting example called The Baltic Sea Full of Surprises, which is a primary school project from Poland, and is a very contrasting example in lots of ways. A very different age group and a very different style of creating a project as well. They had a really varied curriculum of lessons in this Blue School project, including history lessons on their local sea, more sort of scientific biology lessons on the ecosystems and issues of pollution in the Baltic, sort of lessons around the nutritional value of fish and also how fishing can be done more sustainably in the Baltic Sea. But there was also this big creative element to the project as well, lots of arts and crafts around the ocean and around the topic that they were studying, games and educational puzzles, again, all themed around this project that they were studying, and a larger sort of art competition called Inhabitants of the Seas and the Oceans, which was all around kind of creative expression, but based on what the students have been taught around the issues in the Baltic Sea currently and helping to express that through art. And again, there was a nice partnership with a local organization, this Maritime Culture Centre, including some school trips that they were able to take as a school. And again, a very contrasting example, not really that kind of strict scientific example from before, but a really nice varied curriculum, which I think is a good example for a Blue School project. So those were just two examples of existing Blue schools, but I just wanted to make this slide of further examples to say that at the moment we're slightly limited in the examples that we can give by the projects that already exist, but we want to go beyond what's been done by projects already, what's been done in the network already. And one big element that's been mentioned before is that we're very definitely encouraging freshwater projects. Almost all of the network at the moment is really based on oceans and seas and the marine environment. And we want to balance that out a little and really kind of encourage freshwater projects as well. That doesn't mean that we're not interested in oceans. We're kind of interested in both. But in case you're interested in freshwater and like look at the current examples and don't see yourself reflected, don't worry. We're still definitely interested in freshwater. And an example of that is here on the slide. So, for example, one of the topics we're interested in is de-damming European rivers. And there are some examples on the slide about how that could be incorporated into lessons in economics or geography or a science project. And I think this is a helpful way to kind of think about constructing a Blue School project, not only kind of finding that topic, that issue that's relevant in your area, but then thinking about how it's relevant across the whole curriculum in the school and how you can build a project that really kind of brings all the students in the school together to think about it, and also helps them think about it in a way that engages with their wider school community as well. So yeah, that's kind of us broadening out into topics which might not have been considered before in the network. So again, if you have any sort of questions about a topic that you're considering and want to know whether it would be suitable or not, you'd be very welcome to get in touch and ask some questions. And I think on the last slide, we might have a contact email that you can reach us on.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. I will just to close, leave this final information with the contacts. So the contact email is in the call for proposals. It is in our website, and in the project apps website there is also a section with frequently asked questions. It has already some information that you can check, because eventually it can correspond to some of the doubts that you have. But also we will update these frequently asked questions with the answers to some questions that we receive so there is this contact email where you can write to if you have some more specific question, and if we see that this information is relevant for all the schools, we update in the FAQ to put this information available for everybody. I don't know if other partners want to say something for the time being, or if we can open the floor for questions. I see one raised hand already. Can we? Yes, Ellie.
Yeah, we can open to some questions. I think there's one hand raised. Elena Batista.
Hi, I'm not sure if you can listen. I'm in a classroom, so.
Yes, we can.
We're a Blue School. We belong to the network. That's okay. English is also not a problem. We're in Portugal, so. But I'm the English teacher responsible for doing that, so I guess there's no problem. My question is, you said estimation of the cost. That's my first time. So it's just an estimation, or we must have documents proving the cost we say it is?
No, so estimation is estimation. If you see in the project description form, there is one field for this part that for the budget, let's say, but it's only one field, and it's very simple. So you don't need to put any evidences that this will cost this or this will cost that. So it's just to list the main categories of costs that you will have, and the amounts. And this will put the costs of your project in one of these three lump sum categories.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions or comments?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
We have one question. When we have done the project, it's supposed that we have to approve that we, how is it said, that we use the money, or we need bills, or it's just to take into account that we have to ask them?
Well, usually what we will ask you is the final report in the end of the project, that is a description, a summary description that you will produce about what the project has developed, and the products. For example, if your project is about developing a manual or organizing an event, we will ask you for evidences of what you did. And this is what we will consider to validate your costs. So we don't need the invoices. I think it's good that you keep those invoices and the registration of the expenses. But what we will ask you in the end of the project is a description of what you did and evidences of the activities and results, and not of the costs themselves.
Okay.
And I have another question. Also, the grant, that's called like a grant, that the money we receive, we are going to receive at the beginning of the project or at the end, because it's different.
Yes, it's both. So in the beginning of the project, you will receive 80% of the funding. So when the contract is signed, so in March we will publish the results. For those that have the applications approved, we will contact them to sign a contract for the execution of the project, and with the signature of the contract, you receive 80% of the funding at the beginning. and then the remaining 20% you will receive after the project ends, exactly with this approval of the final report and the evidences of the activities.
Okay, thank you so much.
So if we ask someone to come from abroad to do like a workshop or speech, something like that, do we need to keep the tickets from the airplane, tickets for the hotel if we have to pay stay for that person and things like that?
Again, I would say yes, it is advisable that you keep those evidences, but we will not ask you for those evidences for any invoice or evidence of cost directly. But this is a European funded project. It can happen that there is an audit or that by some reason we are requested for more detailed presentation of accounts. So to be on the safe side, it is always advisable that you keep these records of expenses. Although we will not ask them in the final report, we will not ask you for the invoices. We just want to see if what you present as a result of your project is reasonable considering the expenses that you calculated and that you estimated. We want to see if it's simply speaking, to see if this this funding was worth it, and if it corresponds to the financial support, if it corresponds to a result that is reasonable considering the financial support.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm seeing here a comment. As every country has its own school schedules, we really didn't know which was the best hour to do the session. I don't know if this is a question or a comment from a partner of us. I'm not reading all of them. So another message: we represent a network of schools engaged in the shared citizen science project. Are we eligible to apply for this opportunity as a network? Okay. I would say no, but I also asked for the support of my colleagues. In principle, it should be one school that is the applicant. There are cases in some countries that the schools don't have judicial personality because they are owed by foundations, but this is just a formal question, so it corresponds to the school, but it's another organization that has the formal powers. In this case, it's not the school, but if you are applying as a network, I would say one school needs to be the applicant, and then in the project description, you explain that you are applying on behalf of the network, which I would say is already very welcome, because that's what we want to have various schools participating.
Can I just clarify on that topic? In some countries, some schools are in a group or in a cluster, and the cluster has the legal personality. In that case, you can apply as a cluster of schools, for example. This happens in Portugal and some other countries.
Yeah, I might just add something else on this if I can. You'll see when you read the call guidance that we very explicitly encourage twinning or cooperation between schools. Like we want schools to work together. So I think when we say that it wouldn't be possible for a network to apply, I think as Anna was saying, we need one school as the legal entity, or as Pedro is saying, if that school is a network as a legal entity, then that would be okay. But we need one sort of educational legal entity to apply, but they could be applying on behalf of a project involving several schools, and then they could distribute the funds that they receive between those schools. We just need one eligible school to kind of lead that contact, but we would absolutely kind of encourage schools to work with other schools in kind of building a project, be it kind of looking at, for example, a citizen science project in a local area, or twinning with schools in another kind of region or country or anything. We're kind of very open to schools working together in that way.
There is, I will give later the word to Kamel, but now there is one question here, a very good question. Once we start with the description, can we access again and fulfill the remaining data? Yes and no. So application form, and I will briefly share the screen just to make sure that we are all talking about the same. I hope that I'm sharing the correct. No, I'm sorry. So in the it's here in the online application form. You cannot do that, but okay, it's here. So this is the online application form. Okay, this is the one that you see when you click in the ProBleu website, when you click apply now. So this form, you cannot put some information here and pick up and finish the completion later on. Okay, so this form, when you complete this form, you cannot save it for later, so you need to complete and submit. But this form is really short. So what we can advise you to do is you can print this as a PDF, so you can basically download an offline version of this form. You see what are the fields, but these fields are very short, about the name of the school, the name of the representative, the type of school, and then the name and acronym and summary of the project. But these three fields that you see here are also in the other form, so you can reuse the information. And then the topics that I was talking about previously, this case that you can choose minimum 1, maximum 3. So here you need to indicate the topics, the duration and date of the project, the lump sum category, if it's small, medium, or large, and here you have the space for annexes. So again, when you start completing this form, if you don't finish it, it won't be saved for the next time. So again, we advise you to perhaps download a PDF version of this and see what are the fields and prepare your answers, and then you submit it. But you can always only submit it when you also upload the project description form and the declaration of honor. So in this case, the answer to the question is no. In the case of the other form, that is the PDF form that is larger with the project description, yes. So that is what we call the project description form. I will try to share it now. It is here. You can also download it from the website. If you see here, this says 21 pages. So it is a PDF form with 21 pages because it has also here the guidelines for you to complete the form. And here you see this first part is a repetition of what is in the online form. So it's for you to put the name of the project, the acronym of the project, the duration. So all of this is in the other form. And then here, for example, this field is about the objectives of the project. You have always guidelines written in blue to, if you want to help a little bit to formulate the answers to these questions. And in this case, yes, so you can write something and then you save as the PDF. And you can of course put the name that you want. You save this, and you later on you can continue developing your application. when it is finished, you save your version and then you upload in the project website. So this is the larger document. This is the one where you put your project idea. Again, as I said before, don't look at the limit of characters as an objective. It's just a limit, but we don't especially appreciate if you write more or less. What it matters, of course, is the quality of the information. And this one, yes, you can keep work on it and save and only upload it in the end. So there was someone with I don't know if there are still questions. Yes, please.
Yes. I'm not a school. I'm a stakeholder working with the school. So I am sending Europe. We work with a network of schools. So that was the questions I had before. Representing a network of schools. We have 25 schools working together for citizen science projects. We organized an event and DigiMar, representative of DigiMar said, oh, you have to apply to the network of Blue schools. You have to go. We work with the Joint Research Center. And so we said, okay, we will. So we saw the call, and the thing is that we are going anyway with our citizen science projects next year. But of course, if the schools can get some funding, because there's a lot of material, but it is the same projects. They all work with the same projects. We want to have it harmonized and written in a modnet, working with the European Atlas of the Sea. But they all do the same with harmonized methods. And they have one stakeholder, so they don't have they might have local stakeholders, but the aim is that they all connect together with the same methods, and then we gather all together and we share the results. So I'm not sure if you are eligible to your, even if you were, because it's a lot of work to start now writing a proposal. We want to see if we can give it to one of the school. You said that one of the school apply, and we can help them also with. So my question now is about these stakeholders. We saw that one of the criteria is that each school has a local stakeholder. And then in this case, they will all work with I Am Sailing Europe. It's our association. We are an international association, and with the European Commission Joint Research Center. And we will connect them to EMODNet. You know, EMODNet is the database for entering data, and with the European Atlas of the Sea. So, and probably with the University of Ghent. So, but everything is localized. They don't. So it will be difficult for us to ask all the 20 and something schools to find the local stakeholder for what, because everything is already set. So this is my question.
Okay, I will give shortly some feedback, but I'm sure that my colleagues more connected to the ocean literacy projects also can very well complement. This is not the collaboration with the stakeholders of the community is not a compulsory criteria. So you will see in the call for proposals that we have these compulsory ones, like the countries that are eligible, the types of schools. So this has no way of escape. And then you will see all the evaluation criteria for which the projects are more or less valid. So it is not, to try to be brief, it is not compulsory that you engage into this collaboration. Each project is a project. So if you have your specific context, it makes more sense that the collaboration is different. Again, as we said before, yes, it has to be a school to be an applicant. But perhaps you want to think, I mean, you can, for example, invite more schools. If you have a big project idea, you can invite, for example, 2 or 3 schools to transform a part of your big project into a ProBleu project and say, okay, you apply, your school applies to do this part, your school applies to do this part. This is just an idea, but ultimately it is the schools that apply.
it is a valuable input, because in fact there are schools that will gather the other schools, so their work is to welcome the other schools. There's schools that work on their own nearby environment. They are far from the sea. And there's something else. We do not work only on marine, but also on waters, aquatic waters, on microplastic pollution. I don't know if this, I think also I saw in this application form that you have to click on water or on marine, but you cannot click on both, but we are on both. So probably we can also divide this in schools that work in waters. And I had another question and I lost it, so let's say it will come back.
Okay, I will just pass the word to Parky. Perhaps he wants to complement something that I mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. And if you remember your other question, do feel free to come back to us on that question of the sort of freshwater marine split. If you wanted to, for example, propose a project that was both together, that would also be okay, even if it's not reflected in the form at the moment, but you could just reflect that in the description of the project, and that would absolutely be okay. I think, yeah, in terms of your specific case, my suspicion is like we only have a limited amount of funding that we can kind of give out and a limited number of schools that we can fund. So I think it is probably more likely to kind of be successful for you going down this kind of route of grouping schools together as to apply collectively, rather than having all 25 schools kind of submit separate applications. Also because from our side, it will be very hard to just, if we have to choose one or two of them to be funded, it will be very hard to choose between 25 identical projects to kind of pick which one's the best to fund. So for everyone's sake, I think it will be easier to kind of try and group it collectively if one school's happy to kind of take the responsibility to apply there. With regards to the local stakeholders as well, that question, I think Anna explained it very well. It's not necessarily sort of strictly local, but just to explain kind of why we included that. We're interested really in sort of schools to engage in some level in sort of this concept of open schooling. I don't know whether it's something you've come across. I'll put a link in the chat as well, which you can look at if you sort of haven't come across the concept of open schooling. But it's really about giving students the opportunity to engage with things happening outside of their school with their wider community. So it sounds like that's something that is happening in your project at the moment, even if it's done through you as a kind of central organization rather than lots of local organizations. But it would just be good to emphasize that in the application and explain how that's kind of being achieved in the schools. I think Pedro maybe wants to add something else, but
yes, first just to complement what Anna and you have said, that one important in this specific case, one idea can be to have projects present by one school with some twinning activities with some other schools of the network. But try as much as possible, if you do more than one application with members of that network, to distinguish well the projects, because it will be need to be sure that you are not double financing, let's say, similar projects. So the idea of breaking, let's say, your bigger project in smaller projects can be a good idea to explore.
Yeah. And I know now my question before. So it's about the network of Blue schools. So thank you for the input. So I spoke with contact the coordinator of the network of Blue schools, because we have the same problems. We do not want. So for us, the problem is the fragmentation. We want really to have all the schools together working with the harmonization. So we spoke also with the network of Blue schools to apply. We have not yet. We are not yet. So the network of schools that we were working at are not yet a member of the network of Blue schools, but we asked for a common, for having the one application. They accept. They call it like a fast track application. So in which we provide the project. The project has many aspects, but we will provide them the project. But this process will happen, I don't know, for next week, in 2 weeks, we will apply. So I don't know if the fact that we are not yet, or the schools are not yet part of the network of Blue schools, and we will be in the process of accreditation. So they accepted this fast track. Is it a problem or not?
No, no, it's not a problem. The objective is that you were part of the network at the end of the project. So if you are applying to it, it's fine.
Okay.
This is actually a very important point, because we're trying to grow the network as well. So we don't just want to fund people who are already part of the network. So for us as well, as it's not a problem even for schools not to have started that application at the point at which they apply, if they give some indication in the application about how they plan to apply at some point as part of their project. So yeah, that definitely wouldn't be a problem.
Oh, it looks like better than what before. I start the question, I thought, oof, I'm not sure we will be able, because I saw also that you will have next year and after some. But we have a project. It's running anyway. Of course, for the schools to have, we need some laboratory materials for them. They have to find the funding. So if with these projects, and there are other schools that have to welcome all the schools at the end of the project. So probably if we can divide that in these two parts, try at least, we will give it a try.
Okay, are there other questions or comments? I don't know if I interrupted Ellie and you were about to talk. Okay, well then, if you agree, we would close the session. Just the final remarks. The information is in the ProBleu website. From there you can see everything: the call for proposals, the contact email, the application forms, the FAQ. There will be another session very similar to this one on the 13th of December. So if you still have questions, you are welcome to attend. We would appreciate very much if you could also talk about this initiative to other schools or to other colleagues that may be interested. And remember that this is the first of 4, and for this first call, actually we have a smaller budget, because we want to make sure that everything is working perfectly, but there will be other opportunities. So the more information you have, the better you can prepare. If not for this one in January, we will have then the next one in April 2024. So you can continue to think about that. I don't know, I pass the word to Ellie to close the session, or if anyone else wants to say something from my side. I think it's done. Thank you.
Well, thank you to everybody for coming. And if you have some doubts, remember to contact us. If there are new questions that will appear bit by bit, we will upload it to the frequently asked questions in our website, in the frequently asked questions part. Okay. So all this session that has been recorded, we will try to upload it in our YouTube channel. So maybe if you want to share it to somebody, or you want to check it later on, it will be available this week. Okay. So thank you, and we hope to see your projects soon in our form.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.